Okay, top 10. Let's do this. So, if you haven't seen my last video, I ranked the top 10 through 23 MCU films, and I'm going to rank the top 10 that I have. So, let's get right to it. Number 10 will be Black Panther. So, I saw this in theaters, and I really liked it. Michael B. Jordan's one of my favorite actors, so he killed it. The role as Killmonger. I just liked it. I didn't have any too much complaints about it, besides the fact that King T'Challa's suit is like indestructible. So every fight scene you see him fighting in is like, okay, he's gonna win this one. You know what I mean? So it's like that kind of takes the stakes out of it. And someone pointed it out to me, and I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So the next Black Panther movie that's coming out in a year or two, I think they're gonna hopefully do that. Kind of take his suit and just kind of either wreck it or make it destructible, so that you kind of feel like feared for him when he's in these fights. Because when you watch Black Panther, it was like you just know he's gonna win. So it kind of takes that excitement out of it. But yeah, Chadwick Boseman, I didn't realize when this movie came out, he's like 40, 41. This dude looks like he's 28. So that's crazy to me. Yeah, Killmonger was great. Michael B. Jordan is phenomenal. What's crazy about Michael B. Jordan in this film is like he plays Killmonger, and he's a villain that's like always by himself. He's so negative, and he's been through a lot. He's a war veteran, this and that. And after Michael B. Jordan was done shooting this movie, he had to go to therapy because like his mentally, like it kind of psychologically messed him up, and he couldn't get out of that funk. So he had to go to therapy and work it out. And then now he's good, but like. I go back and watch some of the interviews during that press run, and he's just getting asked questions. He's like, yeah, this is serious, this and this and that and this and that. And yeah, it's fine. And you see that Killmonger like overtake his, persona off screen. So it's like acting's kind of scary because they kind of get so involved in these roles and they just like go all out. And, Heath Ledger is another example, rest in peace, where it's like, I think being the Joker on top of his mental issues already is like not a good combo, and unfortunately, he took his own life. So respect to these actors that take these roles so seriously, and it turns out great on film. But I feel bad for them, what they got to go through after and all the repercussions they take, mentally. So yeah, Black Panther kind of reminds me of Wolverine just because of claws. Love the vibranium technology that is using this. It's like you just feel safe with all the vibranium because they use it to their advantage and this and that. Definitely the best soundtrack in the MCU without a doubt. Between that and probably Iron Man 2, I would say, with AC/DC. But Kendrick Lamar was on this soundtrack, and I just loved it. Yeah, Killmonger and Black Panther suit reminds me of Ant-Man and Yellow Jacket suit. Just the contrast and the color, that's all I'm comparing right now. Yellow and purple with Black Panther and Ant-Man, and red and yellow and with Yellow Jacket. So I love those suits. It's really cool. Let me see. Yeah, Killmonger's quote at the end, he says, "Just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors who jumped from ships because they knew death was better than bondage." And that, when he said that, I was just like, ooh, that's powerful. It's like you hear that, and just from like the old days when it was definitely a different world, it was like kind of hits you and you're like, oh, that's deep, So it's a super powerful quote. This is the only MCU film that's got, and I think 2 Oscars, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I know it's the only ones that won any awards, some major awards at least. But yeah, I know CGI is a big complaint about this, and I wasn't too ridiculed of that. I mean, I think they got their hands full, and I'm never too, I don't care too much about that. I don't get into much of the CGI. It was good or bad, but I overall enjoyed this movie. Definitely rewatchable, and good movie overall. So, next one, it is, let me see here, Spider-Man Homecoming. So, let me see my notes here. Where are they at? Oh yeah, so the opening scene when Peter's recording the globe from the Stark Expo and Iron Man 2 is a callback. which is really cool. So I enjoyed that a lot. Um, it was kind of cool to see like behind the scenes of when once Peter first gets his his real suit or whatever, and he jumps up on the building and the soundtrack. Let's go. And he's got the pizza and he's going. He just shows them that he's like adapting to the normal, boring neighborhood friendly Spider-Man life versus like the Civil War that he just fought. So it was cool to see that. I think it's the most realistic Spider-Man, in my opinion, just in terms of like liking the Avengers and wanting to be them and all that. So I really like Spider-Man Homecoming. Let me see. Yeah, that's all I have to say about it. I didn't really. Let me see. Yeah, Michael Keaton was phenomenal as Vulture, who played Batman years ago. But yeah, I really liked Homecoming a lot. I hated Far From Home, which is my last ranked movie. But Homecoming was good. They did that right. It was cool to see. And in the scene where he's going through the city trying to get to that big blast, he's going through people's grasses and all that and lawns, and it's actually a direct shot from the comics. So it was like cool to see that come to live action. Next one is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So that's number 8 on my list. Let me find my notes here. I'm jumping around. So yeah, Baby Groot is just the cutest thing ever. When I was watching it, I was like, you go from like just this grown man tree to like this little baby Groot, and I was like, this ain't the little cutest thing ever. It made me like characters a lot more because you got more depth and got to know them a lot better. It was a perfect amount of silliness. They really made it work. I think Guardians of the Galaxy is like such a fun movie, and like as soon as you hear that music and that soundtrack, you like, oh, that's Guardians, And Chris Pratt's phenomenal, and just the whole cast is really good, and I have no complaints about this. It's cool to see Rocket open up about his past with Yondu, and there's a back and forth banner that they had for a while. Yeah, Rocket and Groot's banner was hilarious, and it was cool to see more layers to Star-Lord's dads. Yondu being his stepfather, and then what was a real dad? But yeah, he's kind of a mean dude. But anyways, it was cool to see him go back and forth, and you got to know him more and his backstory and just his character arc. All right, next movie is Captain America: Civil War. So this was cool because it was kind of character driven instead of plot driven, and I feel like these characters doing something in a movie. It just felt like the movie was about all the characters and their things they're dealing with and going through. So, but my only complaint is I would have to say it kind of feels like an Avengers film that they hate each other. Not really Captain America, but he got a bunch of screen time, so I get that. But I wouldn't do it any differently, so I have no real issues with it. It just didn't feel like, oh yeah, it's Captain America's movie. It's like kind of weird in that sense. But Cap's fight with Crossbones, it shows you firsthand that it's his movie, so I did like that. In that sense, it kind of hits you right away, Yeah, both leaders were distracted with their love of their lives. Iron Man just going through this break with Pepper Potts and how he's reading off of the teleprompter, and he's supposed to introduce her, but they didn't take it out of the teleprompter, and he just kind of like gets distracted and razzles his memory. And then with Cap and of course Peggy Carter and all that good stuff. So the stair fight scene reminded me of the elevator scene in Winter Soldier a lot. Yeah, Hawkeye takes care of Wanda in honor of Quicksilver saving his life, and Quicksilver, at least in the MCU, is Wanda's sister or brother. So it was cool to see that. I didn't notice the first time I watched it, and I think I watched it the second time. I watched like this guy review it, and he mentioned that, and it was really cool to see that aspect of it. And then Captain America kissing Peggy's niece. I don't. That's till this day it just freaks me out. Like, how is that? So he likes Peggy Carter, and he goes after his niece years later. But they both know about Captain America's relationship with Peggy, even though it didn't really go anywhere. It was like, it just kind of felt weird to me. I don't know if they should have had that in the film, but I was like, wow. There's just a lot going on in this movie, so it was kind of hard to follow, but overall I liked it. It was cool to see Tony coming around to the Accords and being on Cap's side, and then once he found out Winter Soldier killed his parents, all hell broke loose and he just went crazy. So, but overall it's a really good movie. I would definitely give it a rewatch if it was on. Next movie is Avengers Endgame. People have this, I've been seeing like their top 3, and I don't think it was as good as people thought, but it was probably the best conclusion and end story in comic book movie history, I would say, or at least definitely one of them. I don't know about the best, but all the callbacks in it, like it was just emotional, and it was like really cool to see. I have a bunch of notes on it, so let me just go off of here. So he immediately gets sad again with Tony's goodbye message when he's in the what's the spaceship called? Anyways, he was with Nebula. Ant-Man and his daughter, when he was running through his neighborhood going to see her, and then Clint losing his family in the first opening scene. It just like hits you and you're like, oh man, this is Thanos really did get rid of half of civilization. Is crazy. Tony talking to Cap in that scene when he comes back and he's all skinny because he's malnourished and all that, and he's saying to Cap, you should have been there on Titan fighting Thanos with me, or vice versa, and that's the first time they've seen each other since Civil War. And during that scene, Robert Downey Jr. like absolutely killed it. Like I was watching that and I was like kind of getting emotional. I was just like, this is crazy, because he goes up to Cap and he's like, remember we're the Avengers, not the Revengers? You were supposed to be there. And he's like, his lip is quivering, and he's just like, you just feel like that. That's just acting. Like that just, he went all out in that scene, and he just captured it perfectly. And like, I couldn't, it was such a good scene. And like, to this day, they're still doing the arguing over the Civil War, and you see the repercussions of all that. So it was like, man, it was moving watching that. Professor Hulk. This is like, I'm not mad at what they did to him, but like, I get it. It was a cool character arc to see, but he never became the actual Hulk. He was just kind of Bruce Banner that was really big and green, which is a combination of it. But I was like expecting him to like really Hulk out and get pissed off. He just kind of just was nonchalant through the whole movie, and he was kind of like a meme on Twitter for a while, and I just kind of was offended. I'm like, this is like a beast you're just wasting. And I was like, okay, but his story's not over. He still has more movies to do in Mark Ruffalo's contract, so they might change it up, but I wasn't a big fan of Professor Hulk. And the Hulk and Natalie romance, like that started in kind of Ultron, and then Hulk went to Sakaar, and then Natalie did the whole Accords thing. It was on with Nomad Steve for a couple years, and that just never panned out. So like I'm just wondering if they kind of forced that, or that was like just their writing in general. Like they're supposed to do that, and they're like supposed to plan that out as far as kind of have some like flirting going on, and then kind of just like fades away. And now Nat's dead, and you can't go back. I mean, the Black Widow movie's coming out, but that's kind of a prequel. So next one is Pepper saying bye to Tony. Would you be able to rest? This is when I'm kind of jumping around here, but when he snaps the Infinity Stones, and she says, will he be able to rest? And it's kind of a way to show the audience that his mind is always going, because he's such a smart guy. And she's like, it's okay, you can rest now. And oh my gosh, that was sad to see. Let me see. But so yeah, I want to talk about Fat Thor. I think he was one of the most interesting characters in this, and it was an accurate representation of like the PTSD and depression you get from. I mean, he lost everybody, and he just let himself go when he couldn't deal with it, And when he went back to, Thor the Dark World in 2012, his mom doesn't accuse him or blame him, and she says, the future hasn't been kind to you, and that's such a mom thing to say, And it was weird to see that contrast of the loving and affection he gets from family members. Like, it's okay, we all have our days, blah blah blah. It's okay, you let yourself go. And then Rocket, on the other hand, just slaps him, and he's like, get your head in the game. And that's how friends treat you if you have depression. So it's like, it was cool to see that accurate representation of like depression. And when people say they're depressed, most people are like, oh, just smile more. It's like, that's not what depression is. There's so many layers to it, So it was cool to see that, how the Russo brothers and others involved portrayed that on screen. Clint picking up the glove was emotional. Hawkeye and Rocket, they have funny interactions. Behind the scenes of iconic MCU moments. So yeah, it was cool to see them go back, and the first Avengers and the Attack of New York with the Chitauri and Loki. So it was cool to see them like behind that, and it was like really, really crazy and weird to see. Thor begging Tony to snap the Iron Man gauntlet. He just needs to prove to himself that he can do it, and he's like begging Tony to do it. And this is kind of what I was saying earlier about depression. It's like, you need to prove to yourself that you're still worthy, especially Thor, where his whole thing is he worthy or not? And he just wants to prove to himself that he is, and others. And War Machine makes a joke like, you got cheese whiz running through your veins, and it's funny, but it's like, it's not something to joke about when Thor's really going through it. He's lost so much. Clint answering the phone after the snap. I think scenes like that, and when Ant-Man went up to his old house and saw his older daughter 5 years later, I think those were more emotional to me than watching Iron Man die and Black Widow die. I think it would because before I watched Endgame, I knew Iron Man and Black Widow would die. So I knew that was coming, but I didn't know the other two scenes were coming, as far as Ant-Man seeing his daughter and Clint answering the phone. So I'm pretty sure that has something to do with it, but like, those are more underrated, I think, as far as being emotional in those moments and seeing, and it's like, holy crap, family really is everything, So Cap lifting Mjolnir was like, this dude was bad. He had the shield, he had Thor's hammer, and just whipping the thing around, and he knew what to do with it. And like, there's a callback from Age of Ultron, obviously. It's like, it was just crazy. And the Russo Bros admitted that he could lift it back then, but he just didn't want to, show Thor that he could do it. On your left, that was another callback from Winter Soldier with Sam Wilson, the Falcon. And Cap, he's gonna face Thanos by himself, which is, by the way, that was nuts. He's just like, that shows like the heart of Steve Rogers. He has half a shield, his arms all gushed up, and he's just like facing the whole entire Thanos army. And it's like, that is just goosebumps. But yeah, the callback of On Your Left when they come out of the portals. Avengers Assemble. That was like the most goosebumps that I've had in a movie in a while. Because just everybody was there. Everybody was, and like, just the horns and like, everybody lining up and all the people coming back from the snap. And like, it was just, I wish that stuff was kind of real and like I could be there. That's awesome to me. Wanda versus Thanos. Wanda's like the most powerful Avenger, I would say, in terms of just powers, because Thanos was terrified in that moment, and he said rain fire on the troops, and it killed, both sides pretty much, or most of them, and he didn't care because he was afraid of Wanda. which is crazy to me. She doesn't get enough love, I don't think, as far as like showcasing her talents. And in the comics, she's like crazy, crazy powerful. So I don't think she get enough justice for her powers. In the Cap and Iron Man callback from Avengers 1, when they're talking about worthy and sacrifice, Cap tells Iron Man that he's never the one to lay down on the wire for the other people. And Iron Man's like, I think I'll just cut the wire. And then Iron Man says it to Cap that everything special out of you came from a bottle. But Tony sacrificed himself for the greater good of everybody. So Cap was wrong. And then Iron Man said to Tony, or Iron Man said to Cap that everything special that's made of you came out of a bottle, and he left a Mjolnir, so he was worthy this whole time. He's not just a guy, MMA fighter on steroids. That's pretty much what Captain America is. But he was worthy of Mjolnir, and he just got a heart of a lion. So they both were wrong, and it's cool to see that, like, them go from the first Avengers to Endgame, and then like they just like were so wrong about each other, and it was cool to see. I'm excited for Thor's future in Love and Thunder, and then Steve's ending was great. I think a lot of people like are mad at Steve that he went back and lived his life, but like I don't get it. He's done everything for everybody, and he deserves some happiness, some normal life stuff. Doctor telling Steve in Captain America 1, you're a good man, is what Cap told Falcon before going back in time at the end of Endgame, when he was like, you're a good man. And Cap kind of says that to Sam Wilson, which is like, I don't know if that was like if I'm reading too much into that, but it was cool to see that message kind of relay throughout Captain America's life. Wanda versus Thanos, Scott and Hawkeye. And my biggest, here's my complaints about Endgame. My biggest one I'll probably say is Captain America should have screamed "Assemble" when the Avengers were assembling, because when he was like "Avengers," and in movies before, like end of Age of Ultron, before he said "Assemble," they cut the screen and they roll the credits. So they're kind of like baiting you. But in this, he just says, Avengers, assemble. But I think it would have been so much more epic if he was like, Avengers, assemble. And then they start charging. Like, that would have been way better, in my opinion. Because when I first watched it, I was like, why'd he whisper it? You're in the battle. Go, go, go. So that kind of made me mad. But who do I know? And another one was like, I thought the time travel thing was definitely like the only way to do it. Because obviously they did it. But I think it's kind of lazy writing. I'm not too sure how I would do it, so I'm not like too wrapped up into that. I feel like if you criticize something in a movie, you should have a rebuttal to how to do it. So I don't have a rebuttal to that, so I'm not like too mad. But it was just kind of like, but of course, like. And then another one was all the females lining up in honor of Black Widow. It just kind of felt like, oh, no woman gets her solo film, so here's your little all right, go ahead. It was kind of like, no, that's kind of, it felt like they were pushing an agenda too much, and they were like kind of corny with it. It didn't feel natural, even though it was kind of like, savage to see. It was just like savage. Oops. I don't know. It just didn't sit well with me, I guess. Let me see. So that's everything I have to say about Endgame. Next one, let me see. Next one is the first Avengers. That'd be number 5. Here we go. Got all these notes. Give me 1 second. So yeah, Tony coming to the scene against Loki with Cap when he hacks the PA system and Shoot to Thrill is playing, and he says, "Agent Romanoff, you miss me?" He comes down. I was just like, that's such an Iron Man thing to do. Like, not only does he just hack into the thing and play AC/DC, but he's just like kind of cocky with it. It's like I love that scene. Thor landing on the plane was awesome because it was like, by the way, his entrances to like most of these movies are like epic. I don't know if it's just because of his character or these writers, but it's like he nails every entrance that he does. It was really cool. Yeah, Cap versus Tony. That was another callback to Endgame and the first, worthy and sacrifice thing I was talking about. Thor versus Hulk foreshadowing in Ragnarok. It's cool to see them, duke it out, and they're probably the most brute Avengers for sure. Let's see. So there's a deleted scene in Avengers 1 with Captain America. You can go on YouTube and look at it, but it's basically him just like in a coffee shop or like a little restaurant, little to-go spot. And he's looking up on the Avengers Tower. He's just drinking coffee, reading the newspaper, and when a waitress comes by, and it's the same waitress that he sees in the bank he falls into, and the Jachari rips out his mask, and they pan down the audience, and there's a waitress. So that's why when she saw him, she was kind of like, "Oh my gosh, that was the guy from earlier." But they didn't put in the movie, and I feel like they should because it would have kind of set it up and made more sense. Because when I saw it, I was just like, "Why does she look so like shocked? Like just because of the fight going on or whatever?" And now that I saw it scene, I'm like, "Oh, why'd they take it out?" It kind of like didn't. It was too slow. I think that's why they didn't go with it. But I think it would have made sense in the end. But it was really cool. So go look it up on YouTube and watch it. Tony telling Loki, "We have a Hulk," sets up Infinity War. So that was cool to see. But yeah, I like Avengers 1 a lot. It was like cool to see them kind of bicker with each other and kind of figure each other out. And then towards the end of the MCU, they just form chemistry after each movie, and they're just killing all the villains. You know what I mean? So next movie is the first Iron Man. It's one of my favorite MCU movies just because it's one of the few that I saw in theaters. And what's cool about it is you just see such a cool backstory and how it just in one film he has such a big character arc. You know what I mean? So he went from a genius billionaire playboy philanthropist to Iron Man plus all that, and now he hates the whole weapons industry because of what he's done and what he might have done to set up all the wars and help him out, whatever. But it was really cool to see that. The Mark II is probably my favorite. The second one when he got back from the cave and didn't have the Red Fury, not Red Fury, didn't have the red on it. It was just the gray suit. Like that was such a cool suit to me. There's one question I had about it that I can't find anything about it, but when he gets shot up in the Humvee, right after he takes a picture with the soldier, there's like, he gets shot and there's a bunch of bullet holes in the opposite side of the door of him, but he's fine and he gets out and goes. I don't know if it was such a coincidence that he got missed or didn't get hit, but it was just kind of weird that I noticed that and I was like, how did he not get hit? But Terrence Howard didn't. So I guess he didn't want to come back for Iron Man as War Machine because of the money situation. But I think the majority of the money went to Robert Downey Jr. in the first one just because he had more screen time and it was his movie. In the second Iron Man, obviously it was heavily War Machine with Iron Man, so Terrence Howard would have had more screen time to push for more money after that. So I think he should have just waited out because now Don Cheadle's made all this money, and no offense to Don Cheadle, but like it, went from Terrence Howard to Don Cheadle, and I hate when X-Men did this a lot. They changed out the characters, and it was like, I get there's different timelines in the X-Men, but like it was still hard to follow. So I think Terrence Howard, like, oh, he missed out in Infinity War. War Machine was doing work in Infinity War, but yeah, it was cool to see this movie have all this stuff and Iron Man not hiding that he was Iron Man. A lot of these superheroes have like, hidden identities. Superman's hidden, Batman's hidden. So it was cool to see him be like, yeah, I'm Iron Man. It's like, I think that's why this kicked off the MCU and why it worked. It was just different. It was like just a good movie. Jon Favreau did such an amazing job. And yeah, so it was cool. I have written down real Iron Man suit. When did I say that? Hmm. Oh yeah. Gosh, I just remembered. How far are we from making a real Iron Man suit? That can't be that hard, right? Like, I'm not saying all the like the nanotech stuff that Tony Stark created, but like, I feel like we're not that far from it. You just put a couple guns on your arms and put a couple rocket blasters on your feet. Like, I feel like, I mean, it's not going to be safe. I'll say that, but I feel like we got to be close, you know. All right, next one. Number 3 is Thor Ragnarok. So this film was such an amazing film. Taika Waititi did such an amazing job of like, all right, getting rid of your hair, getting rid of your hammer. We're gonna show Chris Hemsworth comedy in it because as a person, he's such a funny guy, and they did such an amazing job of like kind of rebooting Thor. And Chris Hemsworth admitted that he's kind of sick of playing Thor and it was kind of boring. So they did a great job of kind of rebooting this. And Hela and Surtur was such a great villains in this movie. You know, the big guy with the horns and the fire. Surtur, I think that's how you pronounce it or whatever. But he doesn't get much screen time as much as Hela, but he's in the beginning and the end. Hela was phenomenal. Like, I hope we get to see her again because apparently she died on Asgard when it blew up, but I'm hoping we get to see her because she was phenomenal. Like, it was scary, and she was by herself for the most of the movie until she got the Ferris and then the army or whatever. But like, it was scary when she was fighting Thor. She's more powerful, So, yeah, Korg was hilarious. Hey, my name's Korg. Made of rocks. Taika Waititi plays him in the mocap suit, and it was like, once I heard that, he was like when Loki was talking to Thor before he's gonna fight Hulk, and Loki wasn't really there in the hallway, and he leaves, and then Korg comes up and just like kicks the door. He's like, "Hey man, get out of here!" It's like, he's such a funny like character. So I'm glad they had that in there and made the film a lot better. I think they should have hid Hulk, but I see from a business standpoint of bringing people in, you kind of need it. Plus, like, there's no way you kept Mark Ruffalo from keeping that a secret. He's such a spoiler. So I think that they did a good job of like just putting Hulk in the poster and be like, all right, he's gonna be in this movie. But it was kind of like, imagine Thor's gonna fight this random person, and then out comes the Hulk. How crazy the theaters would have been. But I think it'd be pretty hard to sell it, considering the fact that the first 2 Thors weren't that successful. But overall, I didn't have any problems with it. Too many problems, I'd say. Odin telling Thor that he's stronger when Hela was fighting him on the balcony there. He's kind of having flashbacks because he's kind of about to die, pretty much. And he's like, I don't have my hammer. I'm not as strong as you. And Odin turns back. He goes, no, you're stronger. And like, that gave me goosebumps. And then Thor breaks out the biggest thunder ever. And I was like, ooh, like, that was just sweet to see. It was like such good acting by those two. And it's a perfect entry to Infinity War at the end there. Let's see. All right. Next film, number 2, is The Winter Soldier. Captain America, The Winter Soldier. My favorite thing about this is you take away Captain America's suit, Falcon's suit, and you change it, tweak a couple of other things, and it doesn't even feel like a comic book movie. It's that good where it can just stand alone and that, of all the other movies and just kind of be its own thing. It's like, it's so many good stuff about this film that made it work. So it's such a great movie. On Your Left was born. Cap telling Sam can't run everywhere in the first scene when he gets picked up by Black Widow. Cap tells him you can't run everywhere, and Falcon's like, I know, it's because he can fly. So that's cool to see. Scarlett Johansson is, oh my goodness, she's gorgeous in this movie. Frank Grillo, he's awesome. I loved him in The Purge. He's a great actor, good bad guy. Nick Fury Escalade scene when he gets attacked by all these cops. That was such a, I don't know what movie it reminded me of, but just the way, maybe it was yeah, I don't know, it reminded me like Jason Statham, any movie he was in. But yeah, it's a really cool scene to see Samuel L. Jackson do his own thing, and it was the only scene I think that didn't have any like main characters in it, and it was able to be such a awesome action scene. And this whole movie is like incredible action. It was like when Bucky was battling Captain, it was like such fast pace and strong and quick and explosive. It was hard to keep up, and it was really cool to see the serum, kind of do its work, I guess you could say. Elevator scene again, it was awesome. Just in an elevator, it was like one of the best scenes in the movie. It was like Captain America is like before. What did he say? He's like, before we get this started, does anyone want to get out? And like just the confidence in his voice, and like he's gonna beat up all those people. It's not a big deal. And like it was such a good scene. So yeah, Natasha's skills as a spy really showed in this movie, because in the mall when they're like being undercover, Captain America and Natasha, they're walking and the Hydra agents were coming towards them, and Steve's like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and I'll take the high, you go low, and she's like put your arm around me and laugh. So they do that, and then they avoid confrontation, making a scene, and it was kind of cool to see Cap kind of learn something from an actual spy and be like, nope, there's a different way to go about it. So it was cool to see. And Black Widow should have had her movie right after Winter Soldier. I know it's coming out in 2 months and it's too late, but it's like I'm not as excited to go see it because I know she's dead than I would be. You see, Winter Soldier came out in 2014, so like right after 2014, they should have had it. I think they did her dirty in that sense, and I don't know how they exactly fit it around, but like they should have done something. It's kind of lame. So the number one movie in the MCU, you could probably guess it, is Infinity War. I don't know how people don't think this is the best movie. I literally was watching every second, and I was like just glued to the screen. I was like, oh my gosh. Like the first 5 minutes, think about it. Thanos almost kills Thor, kills Loki, kills Heimdall, kills half of the Asgardians, and beats up Hulk. Nobody beats up the Hulk, but Thanos does all that, and then like the chain of events happens, Infinity War. I'm just like, the first 10 minutes, you feel violated. You feel scared for the Avengers for the first time and everybody on Earth, and Thanos just shows how powerful he is. He has a mission. He's not doing it to, just to kill people. He just has a mission, and if you're in his way, he's gonna kill you. And he's not gonna he's not gonna kill you and then like keep beating on you and kill your family. Just gonna, if you're in his way, he's gonna take you out. He's kind of like a soldier in that way, where it's like, I don't know. That's even more scary when it's like a murderer's like planning things out and so calm about it. So the first like 5-10 minutes, I was like, what? Wow. So yeah, in Infinity War, the only thing that didn't make sense to me was Cap not wearing his helmet I know he had the nomad suit on, but not wearing his helmet against the Thanos' army with all the guys chasing after him. I'm just like, why aren't you wearing your helmet, dude? So that's one thing. Thor in Wakanda with Stormbreaker, that was like, I watched that clip like sometimes before the gym if I'm like kind of feeling just not that much energy in me. I watched that and I'm just like ready to go. Like that's such a awesome moment where he just gets it, and the Assemble soundtrack is playing, and it's like, whew, I wish I watched that in theaters. That'd be awesome. Yeah, Thanos is just such a powerful villain, and I'm really glad he got a shine in this movie, because it was cool to see the bad guy win for once. Cap's quote that he had, seeing War Machine when they all come in, he talks to the Cords guy, the head guy. He's like, I'm not looking for forgiveness, and I'm way past asking for permission. Earth just lost their best defender, so we're here to fight. And if you want to stand in our way, we'll fight you too. When he says that, I'm just like, oh, it's ready to go. Like, Cap is just such a fearless competitor, and like, he's scary, dude. The Spidey suit was awesome, even though it was completely CGI, which kind of pissed me off. I'm like, that's the best Spider-Man suit, or at least one of the top 3 that are like interesting. And then it's not even real. Like, that kind of bugged me. But yeah, Thor lost everybody and still fought. Rocket was telling him, are you sure you're in the right set of mind to fight him? He goes, and I've lost everybody. What more can I lose? I blame Star-Lord for Thanos' snapping is because, everybody's like, oh, Thor should have gone for the head. Well, they had the Infinity Gauntlet off of him on Titan, but then Star-Lord bashes him over the head once they found out about Gamora, and then Thanos does his whole thing. So it's like, I blame Star-Lord more than Thor, because Thor was like, Thor had him dead, and he snapped, but he wouldn't even have to do that unless Star-Lord was such an idiot, but whatever. Yeah, Thanos' army landing on Wakanda in those ships, like, that gave me goosebumps. They're like, we're here, and they dropped, like, 8 of those things, and it was like, oh, wow, it's ready to go. It's like a good battle coming. And Doctor Strange versus Thanos, it shows how powerful he was. Definitely one of the most powerful Avengers. So it's cool to see him do his thing. I think Thanos has a point, honestly. Like, I think even in today's world, it's like too many people. You go to New York, you go to Southern California, even when sometimes I go to downtown Phoenix, it's just too much civilization in one place. And it's like, you shouldn't have to, build skyscrapers. I mean, it just kind of seems weird to me. And like, if the apocalypse happens, it's going to be in LA or New York, one of those two places. So I think Thanos has a point where it's like, there's just too much going on and not enough stuff to go around, Maybe the coronavirus is Thanos doing his thing. I don't know. What was I going to say? The only bad thing I have to say about Infinity War is I don't like the comedy aspect of it. I think in certain parts, it kind of kills the mood of like a serious film. Like when they're about to fight Ebony Maw and Cull Obsidian and Obsidian in like the first, when they touched on Earth basically, and it's Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and all of them, and Iron Man's just kind of saying, you're embarrassing me from the wizards, blah blah blah, and it's too much comedy. Like, just be serious. This is serious stuff right now, and it kind of took the seriousness out of it, and that just kind of ruined it for me. But in that aspect, but overall, I thought this is such a phenomenal movie, and I'm just confused of how people don't have this as a number one or at least top 3. It just is. It was a really cool movie to watch. I was constantly just like, I judge movies by whether I take my phone out or rewatch them. I'm gonna rewatch Infinity War every time I am able to, if it's like on Netflix or whatever. But and then I didn't once go on my phone. Sometimes in movies I'll be like I watched Birds of Prey a couple weeks ago, and like I was in the theater. Granted, I was by myself in an IMAX, which is pretty cool. But I was by myself, and I checked my phone a couple of times. I'm like, if you have like, I shouldn't be doing that in the first place. But if you can't draw the audience to the screen all the time, like it's not a good movie. So at least that's how I look at it. So yeah, that's my top 23 MCU movies. If you disagree, agree, put in the comments. If you watch it to this point, I think this video is like almost 40 minutes, so apologize for how long it is, but is what it is. Yeah, my regrets are that the only couple of movies I saw in theaters were the first 2 Iron Mans, the Hulk, Black Panther, and I watched Captain Marvel, I think, on Amazon Prime. The other movies I didn't see in theaters, so it kind of sucks because I just thought Marvel and like comic book movies were like kind of like Star Wars, where it's like just kind of fake and fictional, but boy was I wrong. And now I love the Marvel and DC and all that, and I'm gonna watch every movie going out. But it kind of sucks that I miss all that. And the only reason why I started now, because I dressed up as Wolverine for Halloween, and that kind of got me in the X-Men. And I was like, I kind of felt not a part of it, but like it was cool to see, and it was kind of like a real human side to it as far as like the stories and character arcs and all that and plots. And then I got in the MCU and the Avengers and became obsessed with it. But it was weird how like, this whole time I didn't really care for it, and then now I'm like obsessed with it. So that's one thing I kind of regret, but what are you gonna do? And then what else was I gonna say? yeah, so that's all I gotta say about it. Let me think. So yeah, I'm looking forward to new movies in the MCU. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, drop in the comments if you watched it to this point. And I don't think I have anything more to say. I think I've covered pretty much everything I wanted to. If it comes back to me, I'll probably put in the comments. But yeah, so subscribe to the channel or take a hike.